Welcome to the Ministry of Small Business and Entrepreneurship, now located at Building 16, Port Zante. Meet Chantel, a young entrepreneur with vision and ambition. She's here to make her dreams come true, and we're here to help. From the moment you walk through our doors, you'll be greeted with a warm smile and a welcoming attitude. Our dedicated staff is here to guide you every step of the way. As Chantel is taken to her appointment with a business advisor, you'll get a glimpse of our workspace designed for collaboration and innovation. Our business advisors are the backbone of our success, ready to provide expert guidance and advice for your small business journey. Personalized consultations ensure that your business goals and aspirations are understood and supported every step of the way. At the Ministry of Small Business and Entrepreneurship, we're more than just an office. We're a community, a support system, and a family dedicated to your success. Join us on this exciting journey to turn your dreams into reality. The Ministry of Small Business and Entrepreneurship, building businesses, fueling innovation. Your success story starts here.
My name is Anastasia Elliott. I am the CEO and co-founder of Sugartown Organics. We basically take local agricultural produce and we turn them into products that you use every day. So we offer 4 brands. We have Yafi, which most of you know, our hair care product line. We also include the bath and body line. We have Marapa, which is a skincare line. We have Papa's Lullaby, which is a baby care line. And then, of course, we have a vegan food product line called Floral Foods. Sugartown Organics is located in the Pelican Mall, store number 15. Look for the purple trims on the windows. We first started business back in 2010. We launched product in 2015. So our first 5 years was really about R&D, product development, figuring out what the market needed. And we've been going ever since. We currently employ 2 persons, including our management, that will be 5. Well, our goals are really to grow, to continue to build a brand as not just a local brand, but a brand that is recognized internationally. To that end, we've participated in a number of trade shows recently, one in the UK, one in Paris. And for us, it's just continuing to build on the momentum, continuing to develop our product, ensure that it meets international standards, ensure that our production meets international standards. Yes, we do adhere to those standards, but we're not certified to those standards, so that is something that we're going through right now as well. And just to ensure that we meet everything that we need to meet to be able to achieve the goals that we want to. If you want to start a small business, I would say start. I mean, you have the idea. I mean, if it's already something that you're thinking about, you have an idea, start. Don't wait. As you wait, time is going by. Somebody's going to have the same idea as you and they're going to start and you're going to be like, oh, I wish I had done that. That was my idea. No, just do it. Right? And when you're doing it, make sure you plan. Plan how you're going to get it done. Plan how you're going to use your resources. Plan where you want it to be. You're going to stay small. You're going to go big. You want to just have products in Singapore, you want to have products across the Caribbean, you want to have them internationally. You have to plan for all of these things because they're not just going to happen overnight, right? You have to have a plan. And so for me, the most important thing is to have that plan. You have your idea, but have a plan behind that idea and you execute that plan. My name is Anastasia Elliott. I am the CEO and co-founder of Sugartown Organics.
Good morning and welcome to this live virtual panel discussion organized by the Ministry of Small Business and Entrepreneurship. This panel discussion is a part of the Global Entrepreneurship Week of activities. My name is Patrice Harris. This morning, this panel discussion dubbed The Creative Currency, Entrepreneurship Endeavors in Music and Entertainment, Navigating Challenges and Opportunity, seeks to expose and have larger conversations as it relates to the creative industry and all of its subsections. This morning, I have 3 distinguished gentlemen with me who I will allow to introduce themselves.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning to the moderator as well. For media partners, my name is Brandon Cranstoun. I'm the founder of ASAP Creative Group. I'm actually the organizer of ASAP Blue Parade, and I'm also a member and leader of the newly formed ASAP band.
Cory Tyson. I'm of Cory Entertainment, which we are a entertainment company. We operate a promotion company, artist management, the core band, as well as Master Blues Country Kitchen, the production studio.
Morning, my name is Tyson, also known as Rucas HE. I don't understand why everybody's laughing.
Nobody knows that person.
Yes. So, Custom Pemberton, Rucas HE. I am an artist. I am also a member of the local band, Masters Band. And yeah, I'm an entertainer, creative, and everything else that you seem to do. That's what I represent.
All right, so gentlemen, thank you for being a part of this discussion this morning. I hope that you're not nervous because this is what you do on a regular basis. We're going to start with just having some general conversations about the industry itself. And so, Mr. Cranstoun, I'm going to start with you because you mentioned that you're involved in ASAP and you are the proprietor behind the Glow Parade.
Yes.
I would like to think that the Glow Parade is more or less an innovative addition that we had to Sugar Mass how many years ago?
5 years ago.
About 5 years ago. So let's have a conversation about the thoughts behind the inclusion of that activity and how you came up with it, why you decided to do it, what types of challenges you might have encountered.
Okay, well, the initial idea of Glow Parade was pretty much the inclusion of the lights, parade in the length that would be like a festival of lights. And the thought process behind of it was pretty much what can we do to highlight elements of our culture and preserve it at the same time in a creative and innovative way. So the idea was to basically light up our culture. So we would have folklore and we would have it in addition with lights, costumes in addition with lights, entertainment and trucks and LED branding on the road with a perfect light show to encompass our culture. And it was indeed something that was new to Carnival at the time and new to St. Kitts. And we also had some challenges introducing the concept because of its newness. And we had some challenges with the authorities, one being that it was perceived to be jamming in the night when they didn't realize it was actually a parade. Even though the jamming was a part of the parade, we also have a cultural presentation section. So it was a bit of a, back and forth getting it started. But after the first day and the first presentation, everyone understood exactly what it was, and then from there it grew to be one of the biggest carnival activities.
Would you agree that you more or less created a niche market within the Sugar Mass product with the inclusion of this light parade?
Yes, I would say so. And the reason I would say that is because we actually hosted the event on a Monday night. That was the untraditional time to host an event. Most of our events in Carnival are on the peak weekend. So we decided to do an event at this caliber on a Monday night, and we were hoping and we were confident that persons would come out and participate just as they would on a weekend.
Entrepreneurship in and of itself is taking risks. And so I'm going to switch over now to the long jam man, Mr. Tyson, just to tell us a bit more about some of these entrepreneurial risks that you would have taken within the entertainment industry, highlighting specifically some of your flagship activities under your brand and what types of challenges you would have faced.
Well, in this business, as you said, is full of risks. And over the years, we have gone through, I don't want to say too many, from starting and building young artists, unknown artists, and turning them into household names, taking the long jam, which was in existence before we did, but it was operated by Cranstoun band, and they ultimately gave it up. But we took that vibe, that kind of community party spirit, and commercialized it, brought it to the mainstream, and it's now the biggest party on the road. right? That was very risky. We started that when the band was in its infancy, and tried to convince partners, sponsors, cultural armor committee, etc., to let us bring it back, let us take it up a notch. That, as Brandon said, negotiating with the police, because we do it on the main road in Gingerland. We do it on the main road in Gingerland, which means we're blocking off access to Gingerland and to Charlestown for a good portion of the day, right? So took some negotiating, but we got through, and we're moving forward up onto my latest endeavor, which is the Country Kitchen production studio. Once again, making the investment. Equipment isn't cheap, and for the most part, there's little assistance out there, so you have to take that risk, and you spend thousands of dollars hoping that folks like Rucas and Brandon and the likes would come and patronize. But it's all about putting in the work, putting in the energy, trying to market yourself, and ultimately striving for a quality product.
And that's the aim at the end of the day, just to raise the bar, and then after having raised the bar, to maintain that standard. And as you so rightfully mentioned, these entrepreneurship ventures, they require funding.
Yes.
So Mr. H.E., having embarked on a solo career and being in the industry for quite some time, because I know people know you with the Masters Band, but you were with a band before. I want you to speak about some of the challenges when it came to funding, how you were able to overcome that, what type of advice you would give to anybody else who is in the same space where you are, wanting to enter a competition, wanting to make that big step in their career, but the funding is just a deterrent for them.
All right, so it's not easy. It's definitely not easy, but just as Master Blue said, it's a risk. And so for me, I started in Grandmaster's Band in the year 2007. But prior to that, I was a part of a group called the Movements Band. And this is information for some people because some persons don't know that, right? Some persons might not even know that there was a group called Movements Band, right? But that is where I started, and I spent a year in Movements Band, and then I moved from there and I went into Grandmaster's Band in 2007, right? And when I started in Grandmasters, it was something new for me, personally. It was something new for me because moving from Movements, was kind of young, not really out there as yet, then moving from there into Grandmaster's Band, who is more exposed, who is traveling and all these things. It was something new for me. In terms of funding, though, I could only speak to that when I became an artist in the year 2015.
Solo artist.
Solo artist. When I launched my solo career in 2015. Now, it was really hard. And I would say this because even getting on shows to try to make a little money so that I can, start investing, it was hard. I hear no about 40,000 times. Trust me, no. So people see what I'm doing now and figure, man, if Rucas could do it, I could do it. It just happened overnight. But trust me, it was really hard. Hearing no from the likes of Phonse.
He'll be here later.
I know. Look, I wish he was here hearing this now. Phonse was one of the first persons that actually told me no. But he explained. He explained why he said no, and I understood. And so I decided that maybe I need to form a team. And that was my first step. Forming a team that had management, dancers, try to put something together so that I can build. And one of our first goals was to capture the crown for Soca Monarch, because at that time, we figured if we have a title that might help us now to start to hear yes as opposed to no, which it did. Because after we won the Soca Monarch in 2016 with the song Sway, then things started to become a little bit easier because now there was a title attached to the name, and persons also saw that there was some sort of structure behind Rucas HE, which then became Rucas HE Empire. Persons saw that, okay, cool, this is now seen as a business, as opposed to just a guy who was going out and singing and performing. It's now a business with structure. And so persons were now understanding where we want to go, and was like, okay, cool, so I see what's happening. And I wouldn't say that funding came easily still, because what started to happen is that I had to take my own money and invest it in myself. And that is how I started. I started going in my own pocket and putting money into what has now become my business. And so I invested in myself, and of course, lost a lot over the years, in the red, a lot. Because this business is not easy. It's really not easy. Like, I could quote a figure of at least $5,000 just to create one song. Just to create one song. At least $5,000 to get that done. And so funding came in the latter years. You know, when people realize, okay, we understand what you're doing, we see the business, we see the growth, and now person started coming on board, and they were like, hey, Rucas, this is what we can do for you. We see you as an ambassador. We see you as a person who has grown, a person who can represent yourself and the country. And so now we are willing to get on board and jump behind of you and give you some sort of funding to make things a little easier for you.
So if I am to summarize what you would have mentioned, it speaks to establishing yourself first. And we do understand that there is some upfront costs that will be associated with establishing yourself. But again, investing yourself, and eventually the investments in you will start to happen. Now, one of the ways that we are able to do that is through the use of social media. Now, all three of you expose yourselves on social media, utilize social media in very different ways and very frequently. So we're going to talk about the different types of strategies that you have used by incorporating social media to expose your brand, and how you will be able to utilize that to encourage others as well to do the same. So we can start with you again, Brandon.
So everyone knows social media is like one of the most popular ways to reach persons right now in this day and age. And people say social media is bad, social media is good, but there's a balance to it. And once you use it correctly, you can very well penetrate and create that awareness for yourself. So I would encourage persons who have the app, well, everyone has access to social media. And we follow almost every artist that we desire to be like, or any entertainment brand, you know, popular business persons, influencers, you know, leaders around the world. And we see exactly what they do and how they use social media to optimize their, you know, their awareness for their own personal brands and, you know, create a successful story. So what we do here is pretty much using social media to make persons aware of us. As Rucas said, it is pretty much a way to establish yourself, because some of the times we have very good products and we do not necessarily know how to market it or get it out there. So we are like a treasure chest waiting to be discovered. So I would say having a good product is one thing, but then you have to get that out there to let people know that you have that product. So it is important to let, well, you know, the nation and, you know, the region and the international community, let them know what we have to offer. So, you know, you have your image, your personal image is also important, and the image that your brand carries. You have to develop that even before someone can take you seriously, because a lot of the times we're enthusiastic about being professionals, but we do not necessarily take the right steps, and that would get us there. Because we would say, for example, I'm part-time a designer as well, and if you ask an artist for, per se, like a press kit, they don't really have any material to share. They would send you a picture that they would have taken some months ago at an event or whatever. So these are things that we can invest in ourselves, and social media is the perfect way to do so, because Instagram, Facebook is very picture oriented. So your image is also important for social media. Content generation, investing in getting maybe a videographer or a photographer to join your team. Rucas would be a great example of that, as he would have his team, Rucas HE Empire. And I would have seen in some cases he would have like a after movie from like a recap of his performance. So those are things that promoters would be looking at, because now I'm wearing the hat as a promoter now. I would look at it and say, well, wow, Rucas did a great job at Cool Effect. I think I should book him for XYZ event, So those are things that, you have to understand how your stakeholders operate, what they're interested in, how to engage them, and how to basically get their attention and secure that spot for you on whatever event, and that will then grow your brand further. Because one opportunity opens the door for next. So getting on Cool Effect, or getting on Inception, getting on Glow Parade, getting on Juve, getting on Grand Parade, you never know who might be able to see that. And then you can actually use these things to promote yourself around the region, internationally, because it's like building a resume. So anything that you do, social media, you can put it on social media, so that it's almost like you have a virtual catalog. Just even if you meet someone in a networking setting and they follow you on Instagram, there and then they could basically size up and say, okay, well, this guy seems as if he's a serious artist, or a serious band, or a serious videographer, whoever. So social media is very important, and I think those are some ways that we can use to optimize the results that we can get.
Thank you so much, Brandon. Very sound points. Brandon would have alluded to you, Rucas, but before I do so, I want to recognize the presence of the Honorable Minister Samuel Duggins here this morning, responsible for the ministry that is organizing this event and the Global Entrepreneurship Week. Okay, I really can't read lips. Sorry. The Ministry of Small Business and Entrepreneurship. I got it right? All right, thank you, Minister. Okay, so Rucas, Brandon would have alluded to some of the things that you would have done, and again, just giving these tidbits to persons who are interested in the industry, starting out their journey as solo artists, or even bands, whatever else they want to be. He spoke about the after movies that you would have done. What are some of the other things that you would have done utilizing social media, not only to promote your brand and yourself, but to help you to connect with your fan base? I know you have 2 fan bases, to connect with those fan bases and to ensure that you still remain relevant.
So how I utilize social media to connect with my fan base, we actually did lives. That is one way you can use social media, right? And so I found that we started doing a lot of lives, like while we were practicing, and people started enjoying these things. People like to see what you're doing behind the scenes. People like to feel like as if they are included somehow. And so you use the platform in that way to include your fans, so that they feel a part of you. They feel like, I know Rucas, I feel like I'm a part of the team. And that is what we started doing. Outside of that, again, like Brandon mentioned, the after movies, and he went into something there where he said that people, they hire you based on what they see you do. So these after movies, again, on social media, really get you out there, show people exactly what you are about. It shows your brand, it shows your personality, It shows exactly what you want to do, you know. And I would say this much, right? People, remember, social media, it could make you and it could break you. So,
Yes, so correct.
the way in which you use it, you have to be very careful with that. But it's a great tool to use, though.
When we think of social media off the top of our head, I think we're thinking predominantly about Facebook, we're thinking about Instagram, but there's still so many untapped platforms that I think that we, within this space, need to utilize more. One of them is definitely SoundCloud. That's a great place where you can put up your live mixes. We have other avenues, YouTube as well. I don't think that within this space we do a very good job with just uploading on YouTube. They have reels as well on YouTube. There are so many others, that WhatsApp as well, even for using as a base for distributing your music where you're going to be. Let's talk some more about, and again, Cory, this question falls squarely on your lap. And I think we're going to discuss it more as well in the other segment where we're speaking about intellectual property. But more so because we are seeing that I don't think any band has an album selling anymore. There's no album, there's no CD, there's no walk up 4th Street to get your CD, right? And so we now have to think about different platforms that we can utilize, not only to expose ourselves as a brand, but to ensure that there is that monetization option. So let's talk about all three of you. We're going to start with Cory. What are some of these other innovative platforms that we can use within this space?
Well, as you said, physical media has gone the way of the dinosaurs, really.
Well, no, we still have the busmen who have their pen drives. And that was digital, right? Yes.
Yeah, so it's all about digital distribution, which goes hand in hand with social media, as we're speaking. You know, you have to, as an artist, as a band, you have to sign up for these digital distributors. That way you can get your music on Apple Music, Spotify, and the likes, where you can actually try to recoup some of the money that you have spent producing your music. Unfortunately, the amount of money you get per stream is fractions of a cent, right? So you have to do the work and make sure that people stay streaming your music, or if you're lucky, they actually download it, right? If that's the case, you get fractions of 99 cents, right? So it's all about the quantity, right? So you have to stay in people's faces with the streaming, unless you're lucky and you have a viral hit, right? But that in itself is a cost, right? For those of you who upload music to digital distributors, to actually get the music on the platform costs, right? So you have to weigh the cost, whether or not I need to distribute the song, because I'm not sure if I'm going to recoup the money spent. However, it builds your catalog, right? It's good when you're trying to update your electronic kit, that you can show you have multiple songs on Apple Music. You can show them your rating in St. Nevis. You can show them your rating worldwide. So it helps. But it's a struggle, to put it mildly. It is a struggle trying to cut through, because you're competing with grandmasters. You're competing with Byron Messiah, and you might just be a small artist from Hanley's Road, Gingerland, right? You have the same opportunities, but you know you have to do things to stand out and generate the type of traffic that you would want.
And I'm just going to use this opportunity to just push a personal plug, like get your music on Apple Music, get your music on Spotify. There is a cost, but one of the things that I don't think we pay attention to is how much diasporic activity there is that happens. And that's where I find my music. If it's not there, I won't know that it exists. So we can create a beautiful product, but if the marketing isn't behind it, all of the what's necessary is behind it, then nobody's gonna listen to it. Then it's not gonna be a hit.
And some weird things happen. I know Rucas can attest to this. On any given month, you will see an unusual uptick in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Or you will see an unusual uptick in Croatia. It's just like, what's going on over there? We did a song, Pop It, right? And for whatever reason, I think it has something to do with TikTok. There's this guy doing, the Pop It fidget things, right? And he's using Pop It from Rucas as his background sound.
Okay.
Mind you, Pop It has nothing to do with the fidget things, but he's using that, and we're getting so much traction on Pop It and that, right? I don't know what caused that. It could be the little video that we did, right? But, put things out. Put things out.
That is so true, because I can think of my own experiences going through reels on Instagram. I'm like, what song this? And I go like, Alexa, what am I listening to? And there's a new song that I have found. So again, the exploitation of these different social media channels and platforms so that we can get our music out. So I'll allow Brandon and Rucas to just jump in on this conversation before we move on to the next segment.
Right. I think I'll go first. So, like Cory was just saying, and I want to piggyback off of what he just said about the Instagram, right? And it goes back to what we were saying before. How you use social media can make you or break you. Now, these social media platforms, they are now a part of distribution, and so you can now make money from putting your music on these platforms, and then they spill over into the Instagram, the Facebook, the Twitter, TikTok. So just you doing a TikTok video and just using the song in the background, I am making money. I have not even seen your video. I'm sleeping, but making money from it. And so that is one of the reasons why you need to make sure that you are a part of these platforms. Again, this is what helps you to make money and make your business profitable as well. I think I'll hand it over to Brian.
So both good points coming from Rucas and Cory. I just want to add to it. I would have used a distribution platform as well to get the music for ASAP Band, our first album, out there. And I just did it because I thought that was the way to go. So we tried to get it on the platforms. And surprisingly, when you look at the monthly updates, you see music being streamed in the UK, music being streamed in different places like even Spain, right? So that getting these type of insights give you a better idea now as to even your marketing strategy that you can use, because when the data is in front of you, if you realize that your song is playing in Miami a lot, you could very well say, okay, well, maybe that's a market that we need to get into. Or if you see even in the region, if it's being played in St. Lucia, you could say, okay, well, hey, we need to get our music or our image or our personality into that market so that at least we could capitalize on it. Because it's no use if your song is doing well in a particular island and you're not being able to capitalize off of it or even to further the opportunity. So the data that is being provided by these platforms are very valuable to us as musicians and bands as well, because it will help you to strategize better. Because if you know that, hey, for example, if Rucas had his song last year and he was able to look at it and say, okay, this song is performing #1, maybe this is the song I should push for a road match, or this song is #2, maybe if we put a little more effort into it, we can very well take this. So it gives you a roadmap, or a better idea, a better positioning to put forward strategies towards certain songs, certain markets. So it's a tool that is only beneficial once you use it correctly.
Most definitely, and the analytics are what help us to make a decision as to what are we going to push, how are we going to continue to monetize our business. So, gentlemen, I'm being told that we are just at the end of this segment. I'll give you an opportunity to provide a very brief wrap-up before we move into the next segment. So, Mr. H, you already have a mic in your hand, looking poised and pressed. So I'll allow you to start with your wrap-up.
All right, so first off, I would like to say thanks for the opportunity to be here to share the knowledge on this topic. And my advice or closing to all out there, all who are aspiring to be an artist or who would like to be a part of a group, it's not going to be easy, but once you remain consistent and once you understand exactly what you want, it is possible. Don't ever give up, because I could have gave up as soon as Phonse tell me no. I had to say that. But I didn't, and today I would say that I am where I feel comfortable. I still have a lot to learn. I still have a lot to gain. So don't ever give up. Don't ever let anybody tell you that you can't do it, because you can do it.
Sound words. Mr. Long John?
Thanks for having me. Insightful, as always. Whether we on a panel or we chatting on 4th Street, it's always good. It's always good. I would just like to say, partner up. To all the creatives out there, all the entrepreneurs out there, partner up, collaborate. There's nothing wrong with asking for help. There's nothing wrong with saying to someone, please help me with this, or let's do this together, because I may be lacking in a certain department. Partner up. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to reach out, and just stay pushing forward. The world isn't easy, as we've been saying all morning, but just keep pushing.
All right. So I think you would have echoed the sentiments of Mr. H.E. about not giving up and just continue with your craft.
Definitely.
Mr. Cranstoun?
Yeah, so in closing, I'd like to say, thanks for having me, first of all. It's a pleasure to be here amongst these gentlemen, these, renowned gentlemen. Entertainment is a business. For anyone aspiring to be a part of entertainment or in the creative industry, I would just like to say that talent is one thing, but everything deserves a proper structure. So I will encourage persons to view entertainment as a business. It is not just a set of people on a stage just having a party. It's not just somebody doing, something for fun. It's actually a business, and one of the biggest sectors or industries around the world. We're talking $1 million, $1 billion industry. And as long as you have talent, don't be afraid to seek out persons who can add to you or enhance your talent and present a proper business structure. Because a lot of the times we have some very talented persons around here, and each of us would have our individual talent. Sometimes we are able to introduce the business side of it and do both, but sometimes you can't do either on your own. So that's where a team would come into play. So if it is that you need help, just ask for help. And I think we have some very credible persons around who are willing to help, whether around our same age group or older. There's always advice, that even if it has to be someone from around the region with more experience, don't be afraid, but still you have to remain focused and understand that it's not just talent alone that's going to get you to the door. It's not just skill alone. So you have to view it as a business and take it seriously, just as any other business. And business is always requiring you to be innovative and seek out opportunities. Just as any other business, you would have stakeholders and moving parts and factors that would contribute to decisions that you make. For example, just an example, entertainment. If you're having an event tonight, if the weather is bad, you can't have an event. So you have so many things, the economy, government policies. So these are things that you or someone, a part of your team, would have to pay attention to, because even when it comes down to pricing, inflation, you know, if there's a double salary next weekend, you know, things gonna be good. You know, these are the kind of things that you have to pay attention to. It's not just going on a stage and performing, not just renting a sound system and putting on a show. So these are the things that we have to introduce into the concept of entertainment, especially within the industry in St. Kitts, so that we can see it as a business, treat it as a business, and reap the benefits of entertainment as a business. So that's my closing.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, Cory, and thank you, Kasum. You have definitely provided us with a lot of insight, and I hope that the individuals who would have listened would have been able to pick out the tidbits that you would have shared as to how you would have achieved your own success. And even if you don't consider it success as yet, how you are navigating the industry to make a way for yourself. So it has been my pleasure as the moderator this morning to hear your views and to share with you, and I know we'll have great after conversations. But we are now going to prepare for the second segment of this panel discussion, where we are celebrating Global Entrepreneurship Week. Stick and stay, we'll be right back.
Welcome to the Ministry of Small Business and Entrepreneurship, now located at Building 16, Port Zante. Meet Chantel, a young entrepreneur with vision and ambition. She's here to make her dreams come true, and we're here to help. From the moment you walk through our doors, you'll be greeted with a warm smile and a welcoming attitude. Our dedicated staff is here to guide you every step of the way. As Chantel is taken to her appointment with a business advisor, you'll get a glimpse of our workspace designed for collaboration and innovation. Our business advisors are the backbone of our success, ready to provide expert guidance and advice for your small business journey. Personalized consultations ensure that your business goals and aspirations are understood and supported every step of the way. At the Ministry of Small Business and Entrepreneurship, we're more than just an office. We're a community, a support system, and a family dedicated to your success. Join us on this exciting journey to turn your dreams into reality. The Ministry of Small Business and Entrepreneurship, building businesses, fueling innovation. Your success story starts here.
My name is Grace Cranstoun, and I am a professional licensed massage therapist. I also am very active into track and field. I started my massage therapy a couple years back. I did 2 years of exercise sports in Puerto Rico. I went to Albany for public health and minor in business, and I also did a couple years of massage therapy in Orlando, Florida. I offer basically different varieties of massage therapy, such as Swedish massage, which is like a relaxation massage. I also do deep tissue massage, which is a deeper muscle manipulation to get towards the muscle to decrease pain and inflammation and any trigger points that's going on. I also provide aromatherapy, trigger point therapy, cupping, which is a very popular service of mine. I also implement stretching therapy, assisted stretching, and it helps in a way with a lot of my clients that are currently going through arthritis, just to get into that range of motions. A lot of my clients also suffer with back pain. So just getting in that range of motion, and the cupping and also the deep tissue massage also helps the majority of my clients, which is my specialty. I also do pool rehab. So if those that can't do exercises on grass or what's not, the pool hydration is a lot better to prevent impact on their knees, the ones that are currently experiencing arthritis or knee pains or stiffness and joint pains in their hips. I've been doing business here in St. Kitts on Island for 1 year exact, because I started last year, 2021. Praise God, it has been completely successful. I cannot complain. I'm just grateful for everyone who has come through my doors and supported my business. And my main goal on Island is to just promote and also educate all of my people that come through those doors. I am currently working by myself because what I do is a one-on-one session. So it's like a relationship. When the clients come here, I work with them one-on-one. I explain to them what's going on with their body. My main goal is to educate them as much as I can, rather than them thinking that massage therapy is just a luxury. Like, oh, let me go get a massage because it's my birthday. No, it's a lot more behind of it, and that's why I like to do it that way. But eventually, when I get a bigger place, I will be hiring more people so other people can get the opportunity to also learn and get more people in and out and doing the best that we can. My future goals and plans is obviously to expand the business and implement more services, and probably eventually do a facility where I can cater to different niche. And I also would love to work for the Patriots one day, you know, but it's all a work in progress. I would like to eventually, you know, get out of my comfort zone and do more, not for myself, but for my people as well, and just eventually expand and help as much people as I can. My advice to individual out there is to keep pushing. Don't stop, don't let anything or anyone come in your way. Some people may mean well, and it's always good to take advice, but don't let that one person who you're close with or X, Y, and Z to determine your future, because at the end of the day, it's your future. Just continue pushing. You're gonna have a lot of closed doors, a lot of no's. Just take that no and closed door and try to fuel your, your fire and take it as motivation and push yourself forward. So you guys can get in contact with me by my number, which is 763-6500. You can also find me on social media, Instagram and Facebook at Paradise Wellness Center. My name is Grace Claxton. I am the owner of Paradise Wellness Center, and I am your favorite licensed massage therapist.
For staying with us. You are tuned in to the Creative Currency panel discussion, a part of the Global Entrepreneurship Week of activities. This morning, we are discussing the creative currency, entrepreneurial endeavors in music and entertainment, navigating challenges and opportunities. We're now in the second segment of this panel discussion. Earlier, we were joined by Mr. Brandon Cranstoun of ASAP, Mr. Kasim Rucas H.E. Pemberton of the Grandmasters Band and the Rucas H.E. Empire, and Mr. Cory Tyson out of Nevis, who represents the Country Kitchen Productions as well as the core band. We are continuing our conversations this morning just where we left off, and we're going to start with allowing the panelists to introduce themselves. I was ready for the question because I had it via saved, but anyhow, we're going to allow the panelists to introduce themselves. I'll start with the lady right on my left.
Good morning, everyone, and good morning, Patrice. My name is Jihan Williams-Knight. I am the Registrar of the Intellectual Property Office here in St. Kitts and Nevis.
Good morning, Jihan.
Good morning, everyone. And good morning, everyone. My name is Kishan Henry, DJ Tero, the Cultural Ambassador of the Creative Economy, and also World Touring DJ.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us this morning, Mr. Henry, better known as DJ Tero. So I might just refer to you as that throughout the discussion. Now, Jihan, we were speaking earlier with the two individuals who are three who are deeply involved in music production, music distribution. And one of the things that I'm hoping that persons recognize is that there is a large intellectual property component that should happen even before we start talking about distribution. So let's talk about what it is that artists need to be mindful of before they even start with distribution right at the production stage.
Okay, so thank you for that. Intellectual property really is the basis on which people are getting paid. for streams or performances or whatever the case may be. So it's based in copyright, which is really the legal right associated with original music, artwork, literary work, digital, dramatic works. So it's concerning mostly about ownership, who owns the song, and then who is responsible for collecting or who collects, who would be, the royalties would be distributed to. So, for example, if ASAP and Rucas decide to do a song together, even before you go into distribution, they have to determine who owns the song, what percentage of the song is owned by whom, so that when the time comes for royalties to be distributed, that is the basis on which it will be distributed. In the absence of any sort of prior agreement, it will be in equal shares. But that might not necessarily be the case, because somebody might have just come in and said like 2 words by adding a this, and then that becomes part of the song, part of the song lyrics. So then it really comes down to an agreement, encouraging artists to have agreements over the ownership of the songs that they create, what percentages, who they want to include, so and things of that nature.
So, Jihan, I have quite a few hot topics for you today. And one of these hot topics surrounds sampling of music. I think it's very, very common, especially within our band culture, to a song that you like from whatever era, sample it. I think it's a chant first, and then it becomes a song. How does that work? What are some of the legal implications that our artists, persons who are producing music, should be mindful of?
Okay, so the baseline premise when it comes to the legality of sampling is, one, you should always ask for permission to use somebody's work in your work. You only get exceptions if it falls into certain categories of the law, and essentially those are very limited. So, for example, if, let's say, your song, the government wanted to have a song for something specific, to be used in specific circles, to be used for a very specific time, you may be able to have some limited leeway in that sense. But in most cases, you have to ask for permission to have somebody's work incorporated in your music. That includes the lyrics, that includes the music, it includes the harmony. So the perception is that because it's so popular, it's legal, but unfortunately, it's not.
What if I refer to it as a cover? Or if I said it's just a remix?
Well, this is still a gray area, a lot in the Caribbean, but generally, persons are still encouraged to ask for permission to use to have other people's work incorporated in theirs, or to even do covers. Mind you, and this is something that people have to note, enforcement of intellectual property rights is where people get in trouble. If nobody's enforcing the rights, then you're fine. But if, let's say, you do a cover and then an artist comes and says, well, this is my song, I need payment for this, they're legally entitled to do that. So a lot of what we're doing may be popular, but it might not be legal. Again, one of the things, ask for permission, or two, at the very least, state whose work you're using. Do not put it off as if it is your own work. But unfortunately, if you state that you're using someone else's work, you're also acknowledging that you're using it without permission, if there is no permission.
Now, I'm going to ask the next question, which will create a great segue for the two gentlemen. We have just been joined by Mr. Raphael Phonse Rodney. I will allow Mr. Rodney to introduce himself after. That's punishment for late. And then I'm going to go back to Jihan with this question. Now, this conversation about intellectual property, especially in St. Kitts and Nevis, has more or less skyrocketed, especially after you assumed office and the registrar and the amount of public awareness that you and your team have been doing. Now, sometimes, because we don't have a proper understanding of what intellectual property rights laws are, it is met with a lot of resistance from promoters, even persons who are producing music because of this fear of being sued. So let's take this opportunity to more or less clean up that gray area, to speak to some of the benefits and how persons should properly navigate it.
It's just new growth. It's new area. We've been doing things a certain way for a certain period of time. People think that this is just what we've been doing is what we should continue doing. However, the rise in intellectual property rights has come about a lot because the owners of music in particular are recognizing that their work is being used and they're not profiting. So a lot of that energy is really originating from songwriters, music publishers, the owners of music who want a piece of their piece of the pie too. So it's important that people understand that it's just about trying to find a balance where, as opposed to one set of persons benefiting, that the people who actually own the music are benefiting as well. So what we're trying to do is find that balance. But I can tell you in St. Kitts and Nevis, the most interested group right now seems to be the songwriters and the creators. So a lot of that energy is coming from them. It might not be something that other groups might not like, and some promoters might not like it, event managers, venues might not like it either, but it's just a matter of finding the balance between, in terms of benefits, so that everybody at the end of the day could get some of what is they're entitled to.
All right, and I think it's also about putting yourself in a position to get the information. I'm sure your office is always available to engage.
Always available.
So I'm giving you that chance to put that plug out there.
So we have a Facebook page, Intellectual Property Office of St. Kitts and Nevis. You could always reach out to us, book appointments. We don't do individual advice. So, if Tero wanted to come in and ask, help me figure out my intellectual property, we might not be able to help Tero. But if Tero gets a group of, 5 other DJs or more, then we could sit down and talk to a group of DJs. And that's something that we offer. We usually ask for groups. We prefer to speak to groups rather than individuals because we can't give individual advice.
All right, thank you. So DJ Tero, when you introduced yourself earlier, you introduced yourself as a world touring DJ. Yes. We're chuckling, but I think that when we look at DJ Tero, he's definitely one of our success stories. And I personally know when I lived abroad, DJ Tero was not as successful as he is now, but he was always trying to penetrate a new market. He was always like, who's the hottest DJ? Say, Thomas, who's the hottest promoter? Can you give me a link? So talk to us about how you became a world touring DJ. What are some of the, I'm not asking you to share your industry secrets, but what are some of the, perhaps the advice you would share with the persons who are upcoming or who want to try to understand how you became the world touring DJ that you are?
Okay, one of the major factors of me becoming an international DJ, I would say networking. Understanding that your network, you're just as big as your network. So if you surround yourself with popular persons, more than likely, are successful persons, more than likely you will become successful. Just trying to understand the market, do research. Hold on, I got my points here.
World touring indeed.
And then being open-minded, you know what I mean? A lot of persons, I find that we're not as open-minded, I guess, because we're not seeing what's happening out there. But you got to do your research and be open-minded. So I think those are a few factors of me becoming.
Can you share with us some of the places that you have toured? Like, I follow you, so I know some of them, but can you share with the listening audience?
Yeah, I've been to Portugal, Ghana, Belize, United States, Atlanta, Miami, New York, Boston, Texas, which is Wichita Falls, Houston, Dallas. I've been to Washington, and then it's a cool of it. The Caribbean as well, Barbados, the BVI, St. Martin. I just played in St. Martin Saturday night. Antigua was one of the first places I traveled to. Anguilla, quite a few, you know what I mean? But yeah.
And touring naturally is very demanding. How are you able to manage it? How are you able to, okay, I'm in DC today, but I have to get to Antigua tomorrow. How do you manage it physically, even from a personal perspective, your family life, everything that you have going on, because you're still also an event promoter. How do you manage the touring with everything else that's happening for Keisha and Henry?
I'll be honest, so it's really, really hard and toxic.
Toxic?
It takes a lot on your body, like, you know what I mean? I'm not complaining, but it is. How do I manage it? Just the love for it. You know what I mean? I book most of my flights. I organize. I need a team. A team is important, so I'm definitely working on that right now. Book most of my flights. I use my calendar. That's how I manage it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Using my calendar and just going with the flow. You know what I mean? Reaching out, putting everything together, and just plan accordingly.
All right. So, Mr. Rodney, I will allow you to just tell us a bit about who you are. And after you do that, DJ Tero would have mentioned about networking being one of the tools that he has used to propel his success. Speak to us about the importance of networking, particularly from an event. I'm not sure what you refer to yourself as, because Tero already gave me like world touring DJ, so I don't know what yours will be, but from the proprietor of the Cane Juice brand.
Good morning, my name is Rodney, affectionately known as Phonse. I refer to myself as a event connoisseur.
Oh, event connoisseur. You see why I had to ask?
But yeah, here we use the term promoter, but I see myself as more than that. I'm the founder and the creative director and the production manager for Cane Juice. Just to jump straight into the question that you asked, it's funny that Tero mentioned networking, because just like you, Turner has always been, you know, we talk all the time. We share thoughts, we share ideas, we talk about certain things. And take the shine off of me for a quick bit, because then I could bring it back home. Tero, maybe some people might not know, I'm not even trying to give out no secret, but one of the things you have to do is invest in yourself, right? And as he said, networking with the right people. I've been in entertainment now for about 15 years. This used to be a hobby for me until I decided to take it as a business. And I decided to take it as a business when I stopped working at the last job I had as a business analyst. I was a business analyst. And then I decided, look, people weren't willing to, after they look at me, my job, my resume, my history, just being in St. Kitts, most weren't willing to pay me what I feel I was worth. I remember my last interview, the lady looked at me and she was like, "Why are you doing this? I feel like you're so successful in your brand, you should probably just focus on it full time. Because I feel like the moment you get the right hit, you're gonna leave." So I started to wonder how much other people see me this way. But in any case, networking has a huge, huge, huge part to play in the success that I have. You know, sometimes even when booking artists, and I don't even deal with booking agents now. I deal directly with managers or artists themselves. And that's how important, I mean, you have to build a certain reputation amongst these people. As he said, it feels like we're living in a society where people just closed in. Sometimes I wish I could just pick up the entire population and just drop them in various parts of the world so they could get a different appreciation for how life works, how to appreciate what we have here, how to appreciate having an open mind. The society that we have, I feel, mentally does keep back a lot of people because they fear. I'm a fearless individual. It doesn't matter what people say or what they think. I remember when my brand started, we were just seeing about 400 people, and then we were able to scale it to over 6,000. Now, some of the negative that I would have heard and endured and gone through, today, people who are negative then, the whole persona and the perception and everything like that changed. So at the end of the day, you just got to know you really want it, go after it, network, build a solid team, because you can't do it without them, and then you should be good from there.
Now, I'm going to go back to Tero, and I'm going to try to tell you in as well, Phonse. You spoke about, and I'm understanding, is it that you're self-managed?
No, I do have a manager.
Okay. Yeah. So I want to speak to some of the advantages and the disadvantages, more or less, of being self-managed as opposed to having a manager of your own. And Jihan is going to just chime in as well to speak about the importance of legal representation, because there are so many more things that we have to be mindful of now. It's not just about throwing a dance and you go. We have to think about the intellectual property component. We're going to pay echo. Are we going to be paying these? And that's a major, you see the promoters laughing, right, Jihan? This is a major conversation that we need to have. So let me go back, because I'm going to the next question. First question, importance of management teams, legal representation, so that we can have a full understanding of what's important when we are a part of this industry.
So, shout out to my manager, I gave him a plug now, OG. He's also a lawyer, so he also guided me in terms of the legal aspect of the entertainment industry. And just life on a whole. So I would say having a manager, you can't see everything, you know what I mean? And sometimes as a entertainer, as fans would say, you know what I mean? Sometimes we're closing and just having somebody else to see the vision differently, you know what I mean? That in itself could help your brand to grow. You know what I mean? Somebody who's also well-traveled as well and have a strong network. You know what I mean? To put you into different, open different doors for you. So having a manager, that's, yeah.
So from what I'm understanding, somebody who can really, so anybody can just be a manager.
I would say no.
So somebody who can negotiate. I mean, having been a manager at some point in time, having to negotiate with the likes of Phonse, you have to have strong negotiating skills. You have to be able to be creative as well, because you're a part of that creative process. How are we going to put out this new song? How are we going to ensure that the brand remains relevant? So these are all of the things that a manager should be, and you will encourage others.
Also, a manager, and this is one thing, like a manager, a big manager for a lot of the artists and major DJs told me one time, your manager got to understand your brand. So that's very important. You got to know exactly your vision and where you're looking to go. You know, because if she or him don't understand your brand, then it don't really make sense.
That's true. Phonse, you wanted to add to chime in.
Well, I manage more or less myself, but I realized the importance of having a strong legal team in 2019.
Oh, what happened?
And Jihan's office was I guess I could say an intermediary, a help in helping us to try to navigate what it is was taking place. I needed, at that time, about 2 lawyers. There was an injunction filed. That was the very first time I could talk about my experience. So when we were setting up for Cooler Fed, somebody came up to me and just dropped a pile of papers in front of me and said, "You've been served." I didn't even understand what that meant. This was, I think, the day before. And immediately I just started to make phone because I didn't know what it meant. and you know, where I come from, for somebody to just approach me and drop something in front of me, I wanted to hit the dude, but then somebody was, you don't do that, right?
You don't do that.
So it was only then, it was a different category for me now to realize this is serious business. This is major business. Right? I remember my injunction case alone was probably about $10,000. First time seeing them in the High Court. And I had, look, at the end of the day, it was a learning process. We still have some things to get over in terms of the hurdle. There's some things that I wouldn't say here, but ultimately, you really need to be, I just left a meeting, and one of the things that came up was the difference between a hustler and a businessman. And there's a lot of hustlers. We encourage a lot of business, but technically we have a hustler mentality. But the reality is, if you want to transition from the hustler mentality to the business, then there's a lot of things that you have to take into consideration. And a proper legal team and legal exposure is very important. I studied business law as a minor, so I had a level of understanding of how to start the navigation process. But I would say to anybody, you definitely need to include in any business endeavor that you choose to undertake from the time you start to take money or pass money, you're going to need legal advice. Even if you don't have a manager, if you use your own manager, you need legal representation.
But can I say, Patrice,
sure,
not just a legal advisor, you need somebody who understands intellectual property, because this is the basis on which a lot of the contracts are being drafted and crafted and executed. So not every lawyer understands the music industry and intellectual property behind, this kind of entertainment industry. So it's important, get you somebody who is versed in this sort of business.
And it's even more than intellectual property. I've been around artists for some time, and I recall getting messages like, can you help me get my money? Like, I've performed this duration of time before, and I can't get paid. So these are the conversations I want us to have. Why do you need to have a manager? Why do you need to have legal representation included in your team? Because there's a point in time where you just might not get paid. Sometimes you're traveling to another country to perform and you're not legally doing so. So at some point in time, you can be pulled over. And these are the conversations that we really need to have. So Jihan, over to you.
So another thing that you need versed legal experts or people who are willing to learn when it comes to the music industry is also to identify areas where you could be charging people or you could actually be getting some kind of benefit. So for example, broadcasting, you have the right as a performer to say, don't film me. Because if you film me and then you broadcast that, then that, while yes, on one hand, you have people who are getting the opportunity to see you, you also have on the other hand now, you arranging privately with somebody to film you and then you afterwards selling that yourself. So identifying these opportunities within the industry, especially from a legal standpoint where you realize you can be developing a whole different product coming out of that. Definitely with contracts, making sure that there are not terms in your contract that tie you to somebody for inordinate amounts of time. Next thing you go and perform, DJ Tero going to Ghana to perform and somebody says, hey, remember you signed this contract with me 3 years ago and you're not supposed to be performing anywhere else without my permission. So making sure that these sorts of terms are not in your contracts, making sure that the things that you want are in your contract and ensuring that you protect your brand as well. So things like trademarks, things like understanding the need for strategic planning. Your lawyer can actually assist with these things.
We are speaking a lot about the creative currency, this industry, from a promoter perspective, from persons involved in it. There's a creative management component that I don't think that we tap into enough. We need to have more persons interested in managing artists, interested in managing festivals and brands. And I'm speaking about brands now because I want us to talk about, one, how do you use your brand to catapult your success rate in your individual careers? And what are some of the things that you should be mindful of from an intellectual property perspective when it comes to your brand? So DJ Tero, I'll start with you because Earlier, I mentioned about the bus mix, right? And I think that was, am I correct? Is that was one of the first places where you started. So tell us about how you developed your brand, where your brand is now, perhaps if you want to share about where it is you want your brand to go next.
Okay, so before digital became popular, I used to do mixes and hand it over to the bus drivers, taxi drivers, the passenger bus drivers, the taxi drivers, and also persons who have vehicles. You know, what I mean, I would go on 4th Street, sell CDs, sell pen drives, and you know, buses is basically the main transportation point for St. Kitts and Nevis. So the more persons hear the mixes, it's DJ Tero. You know what I mean? They started getting familiar with the brand, and then from there, take it to the clubs because now I have a following. You know what I mean? So that in itself helped me to gain exposure and to become one of the household names in St. Kitts and Nevis as a DJ. Then after, started reaching out to promoters, you know what I mean, like Phonse. I could remember reaching out to Phonse at first, and it was like, as Rucas would say, it was
Gotta
like,
know?
Yeah.
Phonse, I'm sorry you weren't here earlier, but Rucas spoke about the emphatic no's that you gave him about being on Cool Effect, and he was happy to he was happy to eventually get a yes.
So me and Phonse sit and talk, and he was like, Tero, I don't think you're ready yet. You know what I mean? Cool Effect is a big stage, and you know what I mean, you gotta put in some more work, and you know what I mean, come back and then I'll be able to put you on. And that's what I did. Went back, do more mixes, and just my band catapult after that. You know what I mean? My goal as when I used to do mixes, I used to do like 20 mixes a month. You know what I mean? Just all kind of different genres, gospel, you know what I mean, pop, soca, and dancehall. You know, dancehall is like one of the main genres here in St. Kitts and Nevis. And just that in itself helped me a lot, you know what I mean? And then I started getting followers from the international market who listen to my mix and then send messages in my DM like, hey, you need to come to this place. These persons down here listen to your mix and they love the vibe. I just see a mix in a shop in BVI, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. One of the other stuff I would say, reaching out, not being afraid to use the social media to reach out. You know what I mean? In 2020, we all know COVID came and basically shut down the whole entertainment industry, well, the world on a whole. You know what I mean? And what I did with that time is use the opportunity to scan through social media, take a list of promoters, festival, and just drop them in my calendar. So, okay, then this festival is from this time to that time. And I would just go share the promoter stuff on my social media without even them asking, tagging them. And from there, I would reach out, send a DM, say, hey, this is DJ Tero from St. Kitts. You know what I mean? What's not. And I would like to be a part of your festival. It would be an honor. And down the line, I get a lot of no's, but eventually I start getting a 1 2 year. And once the year came in, I now use the year to now get me into other markets, link up with the promoters, find out like who are the promoters in the event, and also talking to them, share my ideas, share my brand, sending them pages and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And the next thing I feel like we take for granted, maybe if this is off topic, but there's a lot of entertainers who pass through St. Kitts and Nevis. I think St. Kitts and Nevis is one of the few islands in the Caribbean that see so many entertainers yearly. And I'm talking about some of the biggest entertainers in the industry. And I have yet to see, well, Boyon is one, but outside of Boyon, entertainers are taking advantage of that. You know what I mean? Just, we in the same space, you know what I mean? All of us is backstage, you know what I mean? Book for the same shows, but we kind of got this mindset that, hey, we're bigger than them. You know what I mean? We don't reach. And I feel like that's a mindset we need to change. You know what I mean? And just network. Hey, my name is Rucas HE. You know what I mean? Marshall Montana, I've been following you for a long period of time, and I really love what you do. What are some stuff you think that I could do to catapult my brand? You know what I mean? And you'll be surprised. A lot of them are humble. They will get a conversation with you. I had a conversation with Kes for Cool Effect, just being backstage, and Kes share some insights, you know what I mean? Tyson John, And when they speak about like simple stuff like, yo, you got to invest into your brand, be willing to spend money, you know what I mean? And you'll be surprised how successful you become just by doing stuff like this. Yeah.
Well, the components, I think that you haven't spoken about is how you transition over into event promotion.
Okay. Well, started playing for a lot of the major events, and they started inspiring me, you know what I mean? And I felt like, no disrespect, but I felt like some of the brands wasn't, the ideas I had, they wasn't fulfilling it. And even when I talked to some of the promoters, they still wouldn't listen. So I'd be like, hey, let me start doing a 1-2 promotion, and from there, you know what I mean, the magic happened.
Create your own platform.
Yeah, so you more or less created that niche, your own platform. And it's not untypical. It's very typical for DJs to be able to go over into having these massive events. If you look at Private Wire and Soca Brainwash, he has one in New York, he has one in Miami, he has one in Trinidad, and I'm sure they're almost already sold out. So
sold out, not almost.
Just paying attention, utilizing social media, knowing what it is that you want next. I think you're a great example of that, DJ Tero.
Yeah.
Phonse wanted to join in this conversation, marketing the brand from where it was to where it is now, and Jihan will speak about the IP implications when we think about marketing.
Well, just to piggyback off of some of the things that Tero said, one of the main things is reinvesting in the brand. I've always been big on taking it to a next level. You know, just like Tero said, ain't no offense. You know, we all have ideas. I travel a lot. I do a lot of research and development. You know, after doing a successful event, I already know what's happening during the year based on the fact that this is the market that I am in. I have friends that are promoters and DJs, entertainers, and we link up in places and you see certain ideas. And even when they come to St. Kitts and they see some of what we do, like last year, I remember backstage, Josh J, one of the DJs from Barbados, he was like, yo, this is crazy, this is inspiring me. And I look at his events, and his events inspire me. So, you know, we could learn so much from one another, and not being afraid to interact and feeling as if you're bigger than anybody. As you say, a lot of artists pass to St. Kitts. We play a part in the amount of artists that pass to St. Kitts. And every single time I meet a link, I take the number, I keep in contact. And it has always been about scaling and expansion for me. I see our brand as a tourism product. I've said this over and over. And from time I transition into the business mind state and the fact that what we do actually has economic and societal impact. For me, that was even more of a reason to take it to a next level. One of the things that I could say for a fact that has helped us, you know, just you're going to go through some failures. I think a lot of people afraid to fail. You know, they're afraid of the social media slurs and these things. I mean, some people could be malicious, and over time, once you leave malicious and bad actors to do their thing, they're going to eventually burn out. People don't realize, you know, it's just critics. There are some entities that don't even respond to anything, but sometimes I feel like you have to know how to respond, and the reality is, I'll take Elon Musk, for example. He has a Twitter platform. He owns Twitter now. Elon would respond to a petty comment, and he would respond to a professional one. He has the ability to do that. And even myself, I find that once you put yourself out there in a certain way, people could accept you as being a plain speaker, and people could also respect you for being reserved, astute, strategic, and calculated. And I guess I found a way to manipulate these things into a way we could help to build the business. Heavy investment. What we do costs a lot of money. I think it's often underestimated, but at the same time, once you take risks, knowing what your reward would be and being patient, because a lot of people want things over a quick period of time. But the ultimate goal for Cane Juice is I used to always want to be a household brand. I remember sometimes, and I could say this plainly, when we were doing Cooler Fete, I would remember I would drive up by Inception just to see the crowd and all of us take ideas from one another in the business at the end of the day. When I say take ideas, I mean like we learn from one another. I like to learn from people's mistakes. And you just pay attention. People are inspired by me. I am inspired by people, whether it is your mistakes or the pluses that you make. Tero who come to my events and say, yo, I feel like this is blah, blah, blah. I would tell him straight up, this is the case. We would discuss if something losses, what to do next. And even if you take a loss now, your loss now could translate to a gain in the future, right? You gotta be very strategic. So the goal for St. Kitts was to become a household name, and we were able to do that. The next goal for St. Kitts in, let's say, the next 5 years is to be a main attraction. We want people catching planes, coming to St. Kitts to experience our events so that it's an economic impact on a bigger scale now, where the government, I think the government already look at us, more or less, but it would foster and encourage partnerships. So rather than the government having to spend this lot of money to do initiatives on their own, we really now have the platform to make it happen, and they could invest in us, help us out. Our partner is the correct word, so to speak. Cane Juice recently registered in Miami as a LLC. Our intention is to also go overseas and expand the brand, right? Who knows, maybe we might have a collaboration with DJ Tero and Cane, because, no, realistically, my friends, the Antiguans, especially the Jamaicans, excuse me for chimney, God, this here. Literally. But yeah, they link up over in the US, and they have weekends. You know, you might have BRT weekend, you might have BVK, you might have all these things. And they're able to not just carry their culture in a different place, but they're also able to expand business opportunities in a different place. I realized that there was a big show in Miami last year called Twisted.
Yes.
Thank you so much, bro. And Twisted, this year I realized that, I don't know if it happened last year, but I know that this year when I was reading the flyers and all of these things, the tourism authority in Barbados actually sponsored it and was a part of Tipsy. So that means now, instead of the Prime Minister for Barbados probably having to worry about, how are we going to do activations in Miami for this and that and that, now they're able to use an entertainment brand and have exposure and activations in Miami. So I feel at the end of the day, entertainment sometimes is slept on, but it's what makes a lot of economies. You look at a lot of major cities, Dubai, Las Vegas, even St. Martin. People just fly over there just for a weekend to enjoy themselves.
Spain.
Yeah. Well, I don't even know about Spain. I recently went to Colombia, Medellin, and it was a totally different experience than what I even anticipated. And Colombia is a place that most people might see as riddled with crime and all of these things, but they literally have not even just thriving tourism, but also entertainment that is now starting to boom in places that you really wouldn't expect. So for me, the sky is the limit at the end of the day. In the next 5 to 10 years from now, I just want to be, and I want my brand to be something that people could look at and be motivated, inspired, and say that we could do it too. And it don't have to be the same thing that I do, but you could use the blueprint and do something for yourself as well.
I want to piggyback on what you mentioned about how we can, as we're speaking about marketing, through social media, I saw that Antigua Carnival had also recently had a float in Notting Hill Carnival in London. Having lived in St. Thomas, I've seen where Uber Soca would dock in Uber Soca Cruise will dock in St. Thomas and have a juve on the streets of St. Thomas, and they have a float throughout the parade as well. So I know there was some attempts before, but I've heard my friends say they gone to Uber Soca Cruise and the first thing they wake up to is hearing about St. Thomas and St. Thomas Carnival. Now, I wouldn't be as audacious to say that their carnival is not as sweet as ours, but I really would want to think that we have a more diverse carnival product. We have a lot more diverse entertainment products that we really need to start thinking about how can we be creative and innovative in our marketing. The ambassadors are very good examples because a lot of these countries, they have ambassadors. When they go out there, the Virgin Islands Carnival, they sponsor something as well in the New York's Carnival, what is that one? Labor Day weekend. So these in Atlanta Carnival, because they know where their diaspora is, and these are things that I think that we need to start paying attention to, understanding the value of our product and how we can market that product. Jihan had to go a bit left, but...
No, that's fine. So I would be the lawyer on the team in the back, like, guys, remember copycats. Remember that there are people who might now start to try to produce tickets to your events and try to sell them. Remember that somebody might now try to name themselves DJ Tero, because people might not realize Tero and Taro are a bit different. And they start doing different things like that where it could start to encroach on your brand. So this is where an important part of the conversation has to include things like trademarks and protecting your brand. So let's say, for example, what I just said, let's say Cooler Fete, God forbid it happen, we don't want it to happen at all. People start producing Cooler Fete tickets. And Phonse finds out that somebody is printing Cooler Fete tickets and trying to sell them. Phonse would go to the police. But what would the police do? Probably just, if you find out who it is, stop them from doing that. But what about the damage that it's caused to you? If Cooler Fete is not protected as a trademark, there's not much you could get back for the economic value that you did. If you had a trademark, your brand is, let's call it Cooler Fete as that trademark. If that is protected, all you have to do is, well, you go to court and you tell the judge, somebody has used my mark without my permission and it has cost me this. Nothing else you have to prove. If you just go to the police, you have to prove that the person did it without permission, that they did it falsely, that they meant to cause harm to the brand. These are things you have to establish without trademark protection. So it's important to have that kind of protection behind you, especially now, like you mentioned, going to Miami, protecting cane juice as a trademark in the US as well. So these are things that you have to do to prevent copycats, to prevent people just simply trying to encroach too closely on your brand, because not only does trademark protection protect you for the identical use of your trademark, it also protects you if it is too close. So the legal term is if it's too confusingly similar. If it is too close, then you can also stop somebody from doing that.
You mentioned something that we experienced something very similar to it. They weren't necessarily printing tickets, but some of them were stolen, and I think they started to, maybe they did start to duplicate them. In 2018, I think, and this is couple of years later, the case just finally wrapped up this year, right? I've never really expounded on it too much in public. And respectfully, I mean, the bad actors have already gone through the processes of trying to repair the damages. But I remember when it had taken place, one of the ways that we were able to even find out who took them or where the tickets came from is because I had invested in a whole database management system at that time. It didn't necessarily stop the duplication of the tickets, but what it was able to do is help me to find out where they were stolen from and also track the batch. And the reality is, I remember when we went to the police, they were saying, it's two things I could do. The people that bought the tickets, deny them access into the event, which would mean that I can't recover damages, so to speak, or I allow them to go to the event and then we go through the whole court process and then you try to get the monies back after, right? No, you know, this year for our events coming up in December, we took measures to more or less protect ourselves from the duplication aspect now. We have more robust tickets. The tickets have certain technologies embedded into them and how we plan to administer and deal with them. And it required, again, some expense in going that route. in order to protect yourself from it, you said something that was so important because event scamming is becoming very, very popular. Even in St. Kitts, I know one or two promoters who would have encountered the unfortunate situation where people were sending out emails to others asking them to buy tickets. So I would like to use this moment, apart from warning promoters, warning patrons as well, right? Sometimes a cheaper ticket could seem like a steal of a deal, but it could also be a scam, right? And just the other day I tell somebody, if you see an event right now looking too cheap, I mean, remember any and anybody could do events now, right? It ain't hard for somebody to pop up and say, I'm going to do an event, collect money, and just run off with the money, right? And it could be an attractive event. They could probably start to advertise an artist and advertise it at a lower price. But people would often cry out, oh, but this event price going up. You know, inflation is real. And if it's too cheap, more than likely is a problem coming along with it. So apart from just promoters trying to protect themselves, I think the consumers also have to do the same thing, buy tickets from official outlets, ensure that you I wouldn't say not to give a new promoter an opportunity, but at the same time, you be very conscientious. I remember when I just started, tickets to our events really and truly started to sell on the night of, as opposed to in advance. So now we have worked ourselves into a category where, you know, tickets for our events now start selling months in advance, weeks in advance, because we have developed a level of trust in the brand. We have gained a certain level of brand equity, brand exposure, where people are now confident in what we do. But I appreciate what Jihan just said. She said something that really and truly, I wouldn't say I wasn't thinking about it, but she simplified how easy it is to recuperate losses in the event that certain things happen. So measures should and would be taken in accordance. I appreciate that, Jihan.
We are severely over time at this point in time. We're going to wrap up the program, but just to wrap up this particular conversation that we're having, the more success you start to attain, the bigger your challenges come. You encounter certain challenges because you're big. That's just the reality of it. If you're producing on a small scale, you have a greater understanding of what the factors are and you can greater manage them. But now when you start to think about how you catapult a product and make this product, I'm sure more persons who might be Apple as opposed to Hawaii or Alcatel because of how big that we're not going to go after something that we don't necessarily think that we can gain from. So just some tidbits of advice. When we start to consider our growth, our success, we have to recognize what are the challenges that will come with it and what are the other types of expertise I now have to engage in this conversation. And that's especially as we speak about the creative industry, entertainment industry. Lady and gent, you have about 20 seconds each to provide your parting words before we wrap up the program this morning. Lady.
Well, I would just say, of course, harping on what we mentioned about building your team, make sure that you have lawyers on your team who understand the intellectual property, who can understand the legal implications of building your brands and your businesses as music entrepreneurs. So make sure that you're protected and do as best as you can to ensure that you're getting the right information for you. Here in St. Kitts and Nevis, Google is not always your friend. I'll just end it by saying that.
All right.
I would like to say thank you to the creative economy for having me and everyone who is listening as well. You know what I mean? To all the upcoming DJs, entertainers, I would say be less passive and more proactive. You know what I mean? Don't wait. You know what I mean? Be willing to reach out and you'll be surprised. The year you'll be able to get, you know what I mean? And that in itself could take your brand to the next level. Yeah.
Thank you.
I would definitely like to say thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to share ideas and experiences on platforms such as these. I would also like to encourage, not even just people in the creative economy, there are businesses that can spin off or be created from the creative economy. We all don't have to be doing the same thing. You know, their expertise, as she mentioned, we don't have enough lawyers in intellectual property, for example, specializing. I feel like the Caribbean have its own laws and regulations, and then the US and the UK have their own as well. So we need lawyers in this sector, and we need professionals in different facets. Don't be afraid to network. Think outside the box. Don't be afraid of the negative, and also be patient. If you come too soon, easy come, easy go. You know, at the end of the day, it's a process. Trust the process. Believe in yourself. Think about the future. See yourself down the line, and just put in the work now for later.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, lady. Thank you to all of the persons who have been tuned into this virtual discussion this morning, which forms part of the Global Entrepreneurship Week. This morning, we have been speaking about entrepreneurial endeavors in music entertainment, navigating challenges and opportunities. We were blessed with 6 panelists. Our first segment included Mr. Kasim Rucas H.E. Pemberton, Mr. Brandon Cranstoun, Mr. Cory Tyson. Our second segment, of which we're wrapping up at this moment, includes Mrs. Jihan Williams-Knight, just recognizing she's the lone female on the entire panel, Mr. Raphael Phonse, Rodney, and Mr. Ambassador, my apologies, Ambassador Jihan DJ Tero Henry. So thank you so much for joining us this morning, and I hope that you continue to have a great day. Bye-bye.
Welcome to the Ministry of Small Business and Entrepreneurship, now located at Building 16, Port Zante. Meet Chantel, a young entrepreneur with vision and ambition. She's here to make her dreams come true, and we're here to help. From the moment you walk through our doors, you'll be greeted with a warm smile and a welcoming attitude. Our dedicated staff is here to guide you every step of the way. As Chantel is taken to her appointment with a business advisor, you'll get a glimpse of our workspace designed for collaboration and innovation. Our business advisors are the backbone of our success, ready to provide expert guidance and advice for your small business journey. Personalized consultations ensure that your business goals and aspirations are understood and supported every step of the way. At the Ministry of Small Business and Entrepreneurship, we're more than just an office. We're a community, a support system, and a family dedicated to your success. Join us on this exciting journey to turn your dreams into reality. The Ministry of Small Business and Entrepreneurship, building businesses, fueling innovation. Your success story